Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today we're talking about the things that I did to start my business that I never stopped doing. So, when you're growing your business and you're at like the early stages, there's things that you're going to be doing that are different from after a year, 2 years, 3 years. And you should always be thinking, what can I get off my plate? What can I delegate? What can I outsource so I can grow faster? Because if you continue to do the things that you're doing in the beginning, you're going to stay stuck. So it's really important that you have clarity over, all right, I have a limited amount of time to grow my business right now. What can I do? Where can I stay in my zone of genius? So the things that I started doing that I never stopped: creating content. Content is the lifeblood of your business, and you got to make sure that you're creating content on a consistent basis at least once a week. If you want to grow faster, create more content. So creating content is huge. When I started this business, that was like, all right, create content every single week, and I never stopped. Never stopped creating content. So even when I might be sick, even when I had a baby, I just thought ahead and I batched. And we always have content in the queue ready to go. So we're like literally, we've had how many episodes of the podcast? 200 and something. Never missed a week. Never. That consistency is everything. Planning. So things that I started doing and I continue to do is plan. So I look at the year, I look at the quarter, what's my goal? I look at the month. We're in a new quarter right now. We're in the last quarter of the year. So what's your goal? What's your focus? We're in a new month. What's your goal? What's your focus? It's Monday. We're in a new week. What's your goal? What's your focus? Today, what are you focused on? So I'm always planning and I'm looking at my calendar, I'm looking at my schedule, and I'm thinking, all right, I have this much time right here to do this. That's going to get me closer to this goal that I have set for myself. Continue to do that all the time. Webinars. I love webinars. They're such a great way to add value to your ideal client. And then if you have an offer or something that you can serve them, I love them. The only time I have stopped doing them is TJ. The only time I stopped is right after I had Gabrielle. And so I'm excited that we're going to get back into doing webinars because I adore them. They're so much fun. I've done probably over 1,000 webinars. And yeah, that's like one of my favorite things to do. Outsourcing. And so when I started the business, I was outsourcing and I continue to outsource to this day. So when I learned from Shalene Johnson back in the day that I need to be outsourcing and hire a virtual assistant. So I hired my first virtual assistant, I want to say in 2013. I forget. But I've always had a virtual assistant in this business, even if he was a guy in the Philippines that was doing like 10 hours a week. He wasn't doing a lot, but it was something. So he was taking something off of my plate so I could focus on the really important things. I never stopped doing personal development, leadership development, and working on myself and my mindset. Your business will only grow as much as you grow as a leader. And so when I started this business, that's how we were able to grow so quickly, is because I had experience in that first business that I was a part of, right? So I was working on my own personal growth and leadership and attending conferences. So when we started this business, it was like, boom, because I already had that mindset in place, right? And I'm continue to grow and focus on developing myself as a leader. Always will. Always will. Never stop growing. Another thing is focusing on my email list and emailing my list. So always focusing on how can I get my email list to grow and then emailing my list. So those are essential parts of your business that you should start immediately and then never stop focusing on that. Focus on that email list growth and staying in a connection and relationship with your email list. Speaking of relationship, building relationships with other people in your industry or related industries. And you can create win-win situations for each other. So I continue to build relationships with people that are in my mastermind, and I'm just seeing, how can I support you? How can I help you? So I was talking to someone in my mastermind, and she's working on a launch that's coming up, and I'll be supporting her and helping her through that launch. And so I want you to see, who can I build a relationship with? Who can I create a win-win situation for? And the biggest thing is serve, serve, serve. So serve people instead of just asking, asking, asking for help all the time. And the last thing that I could think of that when I started the business and I haven't stopped is setting goals, dreaming, and creating that vision for my business and for my life. If you stop, if you set a goal and you reach it and then you don't set that next goal, oh my goodness, you're in trouble. I learned this the hard way back in network marketing. You always have to have something that you're striving towards. Otherwise, it's so easy to fall backwards and lose momentum. And then I made a list too of like, what are the things that I stopped doing as we grew this business? And this is definitely by no means an exhaustive list, but the things that I've stopped doing, responding to emails, except for like a very select few. So we have Michelle on our team that goes through and she responds to all of our emails, all of my Facebook messages. And there are select few that she decides, I give her that power. I'm like, all right, it's up to you to decide what needs a very personal response from me. And it's rare, but it happens. And so I don't respond to emails for the most part. Editing and uploading the podcast. That is not something that I do. I did in the beginning when we first launched. I don't do that anymore. I do not any longer go into Active Campaign, our email service provider CRM. I don't go in there to schedule emails or to set up automations or anything like that. That was one of the things that I hired Ariana for a few years ago because that was one of the things that drove me nuts and I could not figure out for the life of me. And I spent so much time in there. So that's something I don't do anymore. I write emails, but I no longer actually go in and schedule them. So I'll just write them in a Google Doc, share it with Ariana, boom, it's scheduled and sent out. I no longer create graphics. I used to spend time creating graphics in Canva. I don't do that anymore. I don't create graphics for Instagram. I don't create graphics for pretty much anything. No logos, no pins, nothing. And this is something I had to call one of our students out. She was spending hours creating graphics in Canva. And I'm like, that's not something that's going to move the needle forward in your business. So stop it. Like, this is something you could outsource immediately. And you could find someone that can do it so much better than you for cheap, cheap, cheap. Um, let's see. Oh, to go off of that, like creating events on Facebook and that kind of thing. Uploading blog posts. That's something you could easily outsource. That's not something that I do any longer. Tracking income and expenses. So I used to have like a little spreadsheet where I would track all my expenses and save emails and like all that stuff for tax time and filing taxes. And we have a bookkeeper now who's amazing. Katie Farrow is one of our former students, and she's just crushing it in her bookkeeping business. And so I love hiring all of our former students if I can. So she's just doing a great job on our books. So I no longer do tracking income and expenses anymore. Pinning on Tailwind. And so doing Tailwind tribes and scheduling out everything in Tailwind, I no longer do that. We have someone on our team that does that. Organizing launches and delegating what needs to happen for launches. We have someone on our team that takes over that as well. Running Facebook ads. Yes, I used to run our Facebook ads. No longer, because there's someone that can do that much better than me. I think it's with a lot of this stuff, I think it's important to understand how it works. So I've taken a course on Facebook ads. I used to run Facebook ads, so I can go in there and see and understand kind of what's going on. But I no longer do them because that's. Are you okay, buddy? We're hiding in the closet together. I no longer pitch to get on podcasts. We have someone on our team that does the pitching for me. I think it's important that that is a part of a part of your business is outreaching to get on in front of other people's audiences. That's something I no longer do myself. Managing my calendar. I don't do that anymore. All right, I'm almost done, buddy. You're a distraction. I no longer manage my calendar. We have Michelle on our team that completely takes over my calendar, which is great. And I no longer do the hiring for our team. So we have someone that when we post job applications, she's posting our job applications. She's basically going through and weeding out the stinkers and doing the interviews and everything. And I'm kind of like the final say for that hire. So that's probably not an exhaustive list by any means, but those are some of the things that I stopped doing, the things that I continue to do. And it's really important that you're just always looking, like create a list of what are all the things I'm doing in my business right now. And then ask yourself, do I need to be doing this right now? Or can I delegate this? Can I just get rid of it? Just so you're protecting your time and your energy, because that's really, really, really important as you want to grow and scale your business. I hope this was helpful. If you want to dive in deeper and learn more about Pinterest for lead generation, make sure to go to freepinterestclass.com. And that's my free class where I'm going to teach you my 5-step framework to generating new leads and sales on Pinterest. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.